Good evening, everyone. I am Joan Weeks, the head librarian of the Near East section. And before we start the program, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our collections and services here at the library. The African and Middle Eastern Division serves as the major research center and houses collections in over 33 vernacular languages from 77 countries in Africa, the Middle East, the Caucasus, and Central Asia. I would like to invite all of you to come to the African and Middle Eastern Reading Room. It's up here on the second floor of the Jefferson Building, and use our Armenian and Georgian collections for your research.
What we're going to be doing today is embark on a journey across 250 years, in fact, more than 250 years of Armenian presence in what will eventually become the United States. In March 1948, Librarian of Congress Luther Evans wrote to a committee of Armenian Americans who were working to enrich the library's Armenian collections. His words give us a fitting point of departure for tonight's journey. I'm very much impressed by this action on the part of a group of Americans of Armenian ancestry, he wrote. I can think of few activities more appropriate than that they should initiate and support a program for collecting in the Library of Congress materials for the study of the history and culture of the land of their origin. So tonight we will trace the realization of that vision through the library's collections. The objects before us will take us across centuries, from Armenian encounters with America in books and maps, to the first documented Armenian presence in colonial Virginia, one early example is the Armenian biography of George Washington, published in Vienna in 1855. Its 7 chapters recount Washington's early life and education, his military career, the American Revolution, his presidency, his return to private life, and his death. The biography closes by quoting Thomas Jefferson's January 2nd, 1814 letter to Walter Jones, written from Monticello. Jefferson described Washington's mind as great and powerful, his judgment as unusually sound, saying that he certainly no general ever planned his battles more judiciously. Around the same moment, another vision of America reached Armenian readers. Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, published in 1852, appeared in Armenian translation in Venice in 1854, only 2 years after the original. The book had multiple editions, 2 of which are on display tonight. A letter from Harrison Gray Otis Dwight, the American Protestant missionary in Constantinople, captures the astonishment the Armenian translation produced even among American missionaries. Writing to Professor Kelvin Stowe, Harriet Beecher Stowe's husband, Dwight exclaimed, "Uncle Tom's Cabin in the Armenian language, who would have thought it? I do not suppose your good wife, when she wrote that book, thought that she was going to missionate it among the sons of Haig," a reference to Armenians, "in all their dispersions, following them along the banks of the Euphrates, sitting down with them in their towns and villages under the shade of Hori, Ararat, traveling with them in the wanderings even to India and China. But I have it in my hands, in the Armenian of present day, the same language," remember, this is an American missionary, "the same language in which I speak and think and dream," end quote. Martin the Armenian is the first recorded Armenian known to have arrived in what is today the United States. He was in Virginia by 1619. In records preserved among the Thomas Jefferson papers in the manuscript division of the Library of Congress, and on display here today for the first time, I do hope that many of you had the opportunity to see it, he appears He appears in 1622 as John Martin the Persian, and in 1623 and 24 as Martin N. Armenian or Martin D. Armenian. By 1619, he had become a freeman, owned 95 acres of land, and cultivated tobacco. In 1622, when he brought tobacco to England, customs officials treated him as a foreigner and tried to charge him doubly duty. Martin petitioned the Virginia Company, arguing that his status in Virginia entitled him to pay the ordinary rate. He won. As immigration accelerated in the decades that followed, churches became the institutional heart of Armenian American life, anchoring communities that were still finding their place in the United States while maintaining enduring ties to their religious and cultural heritage. This particular image is from the Prints and Photographs collection at the Library of Congress. It is an image of the first Armenian church in the United States, in Worcester, and next to it is a news report in the Boston Globe about the opening of the church. As night fell on Saturday, April 24, 1915, Ottoman Turkish police officers paid surprise visits to dozens of Armenian addresses in Istanbul. Within hours, the who's who of writers, artists, and lay and religious leaders found themselves greeting one another at an unlikely rendezvous spot, the Ottoman capital's central prison. Humidity and dread filled the air, but many were hopeful that they would soon be released. As they lay down to rest that night, they could not have imagined that their journey into darkness had just begun and that it would soon engulf their entire nation. Having set the operation in motion, Interior Minister of the Ottoman Empire Talat Pasha, the mastermind of the Armenian Genocide, went to dinner with US Ambassador Henry Morgenthau. The letter displayed here thanks Morgenthau for the invitation, conveys his respects to Mrs. Morgenthau, and assures the ambassador of his most sincere friendship. One survivor of the Armenian Genocide was David Atamian. Born in the village of Behesni in 1892 in the Ottoman Empire, Atamian left one of the most extensive Armenian survivor records of the early 20th century. His multi-volume journals, which he donated to the Library of Congress in the 1940s, record deportation, hunger, police persecution, flight, relief work, exile, all 10,000 pages of it, all handwritten in these 14 volumes that you see. The 1765 Gospel of John, produced near Constantinople, entered the collection of Rupen Mamoulian, the Armenian American director who helped transform 20th century stage and cinema. The manuscript was given as a gift to the library by his wife, Azadia Mamoulian, I believe in the time of my predecessor, Dr. Levon Avdoyan. It links Armenian manuscript tradition to Armenian American achievement in the arts. The same movement from inheritance to institution also shaped Armenian American intellectual life. Nina Garsoyan arrived in the United States as a child with her mother. She became a leading historian of Armenia and Byzantium, the first woman historian to receive tenure at Columbia University in 1969, the first holder of the Gevorg Avedisian Chair in Armenian History and Civilization at Columbia, and later the first woman to serve as Dean of Princeton University's graduate school. The library's African and Middle Eastern division now holds her archives, including lectures, correspondence, research notes, and materials documenting her scholarly career and the growth of Armenian studies in the United States. Scholars often speak of push and pull, the forces that drive people from one place and forces that draw them to another. As we saw, Armenian migration to America was shaped by both. Their America was a mixture of preservation and transformation. In Watertown, Whitensville, Worcester, Fresno, New York, Detroit, Providence, Racine, Los Angeles, and elsewhere, Armenians rebuilt fragments of the worlds they had lost.